Every year, dozens of anime come out. Some are remembered because of their stories, some survive through iconic characters, or one scene that the internet refuses to let die. And then there are anime like Children of the Whale, a series that looks like every frame was taken from a fantasy storybook, yet somehow almost completely disappeared from the anime conversation. We rarely see it recommended, we rarely see clips from it, and when people discuss the most visually beautiful anime of the last decade, its name barely comes up. But what makes that especially ironic is that Children of the Whales is a story about people desperately trying not to be forgotten. Its main character dedicates his life to preserving memories, recording names, and proving that the people around him existed. And years later, the anime itself suffered the exact fate that he was fighting against. It became forgotten. The first thing you notice is that the backgrounds do not look like normal anime backgrounds. The mud well feels as if someone painted an entire civilization with watercolors. The buildings have soft and imperfect textures, the vegetation looks slightly faded, the skies are open and gentle rather than being overloaded with details, and even the Sea of Sand has a strangely peaceful appearance despite being massive, empty, and completely unknown. Nothing looks overly sharp or polished, and that is exactly why it works. A lot of anime impresses us by making every object as detailed as possible. Children of the Whale takes a different approach. Instead of making its world feel expensive, it makes it feel delicate, almost fragile, like the pages of an old illustrated book that could start fading if you touch them too often. That style fits Mudwell perfectly because the island itself is a tiny pocket of life surrounded by nothing. The softer and more welcoming the Mudwell appears is the more you notice how isolated it truly is. It looks beautiful but also incredibly lonely. Before the story even explains what its people are afraid of, the artwork has already communicated their situation. Their world is very small, their lives are very fragile, and they are surrounded by something they do not understand. Children of the Whale uses one of the softest palettes I have ever seen in any fantasy anime. Pale blues, warm yellows, faded pinks, gentle greens, and skies that looks like the colors were allowed to bleed into one another. Normally, colors like this promises a comfort. You expect something peaceful, innocent, and maybe even wholesome. At first, that is exactly how the Mudwell feels. It looks very safe, but the anime uses that feeling of safety to make every trace of sadness more powerful. It understands that tragic stories does not always need black clouds, heavy shadows, and gray filter to tell us when we should feel bad. It allows beauty and pain to exist in the same image. Sometimes, tragedy happens beneath a beautiful blue sky. Sometimes the flower remains colorful while the characters standing beside them are hurting. The world does not become ugly just because something ugly happens inside of it. And strangely, that can make the emotion hit even harder. Its colors become an emotional misdirection. They invite you into a dream before slowly reminding you how easily that dream could disappear. Children of the Whale is not the type of series I would recommend because every episode is packed with incredible animation. Its greatest strength is something much quieter. It has an identity. You could remove every character from a screenshot and I would still recognize its world. The watercolor textures, the architecture, the sea of sand, and the way nature spread across the Mudwell all belong specifically to this anime. Exceptional art is not always about drawing more. Sometimes it is about making every visual decision point toward the same emotion, and Children of the Whale does that exceptionally well. The show is not flawless. Some of its storytelling choices will work better for certain viewers than others, and one short anime season can only explore so much of a world this ambitious. But perfection is not the reason I still remember it. I remember it because there is nowhere else that looks or feels exactly like the Mudwell. And that brings me back to the strange irony at the center of this video. Shakuro spends his life recording people who might otherwise be forgotten. He writes down their name, their memories, and the moment they shared because he wants the future to know that they were here. He wants the future to know that their life happened. He wanted the future to know that they mattered. And somehow, Children of the Whale became an anime that the larger community barely remembers. It arrived in 2017, showed us one of the most distinctive fantasy world of its era, and then quietly drifted out of the conversation. So maybe that is the best way to describe this video. Consider it one more entry into the archive. Children of the Whales existed. It was strange, it was fragile, it was beautiful.